Oh, yeah, let's go win it, boys. We are live. So, welcome to the first video. Let me know if the music is too loud. I have an assistant with me today. Your social media manager, my wife. How's the music over there?
Hi, I'm not seeing it. Hold on one moment. Oh, there we are. I'm just on a little bit of a delay here. So,
No, that's normal. How's the music over there? Is it too loud?
No, I don't think it's too loud.
No, it's good.
Mm-mm.
Okay. It needs to be
I'm having a hard
background.
time hearing it, so
You're having a hard time hearing it? Okay.
yeah.
Okay, well that means it's too quiet then. How about that? I'm going to have to turn it up a little bit, just wait for a few seconds. I'm going to talk while it's going. Do you hear a drastic difference? Oh, matter of fact, while I'm at it, let me go ahead and do something over here. How's the music now?
It's very light. It's little. I mean, it's not too loud. It's very soft.
But it's background enough that you can hear it,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
Okay,
You're kind of around. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay, that's
Yep.
what's important. All right, I'm gonna refresh it real quick, just so I can redo the setup of the audio in here. Okay, I'm gonna turn it down. It's gonna be loud for just a few seconds.
Alrighty.
All right, so what I'm gonna do is I'm actually gonna make a little thing so people can see what's playing while we're doing this. So if people want to see what's on artlist.io, you can check it out.
I love that idea.
Let me see. Let me go ahead and add a window again. So this is going to be artlist.io. Music licensing reimagined. At least that's there. Oh, goodness. Okay, let me go ahead and crop it real quick. Cropping. 1600. Oh, no, that's too much. Try 1200. Not that much. Let's try 800. We're gonna go ahead and tune it up from there. Welcome to seeing the background magic. Okay. Artlist.io. Oh, well, that doesn't help if it's behind it. We'll go ahead and lock that, lock, boom. Okay, so if you're new to FoundryVTT, as you can see the logo, let me go ahead and we'll just go ahead and get rid of that. Okay, you can see the logo of FoundryVTT is the anvil. And the icon you'll see on your desktop looks just like this. Basically, it's an bright orange G20 with an anvil in the center. You would click that to open it. You would be taken to this screen. Now, on mine, it's going to say administrator access, and that's because I've already set myself an administrator password. But in case you don't have one, we're going to go ahead and get to that too. So you can see I have a few games I can get ready to play and all that fun stuff. And let's see here. Okay, so the base configuration. First thing you want to do is, before you have Game Worlds, this will be blank. Obviously, if you have a new install of the game. So we're going to go to configuration. First thing you want to do, make a password. Don't forget to make a password as a game master. Even if you trust your players, they might accidentally start looking at some stuff you don't want them to, and you know, if the temptation is there, it's better to just be rid of the temptation than to have it ever existent in the first place. So, set yourself an administrative password. The default port of FoundryVTT is 30,000. Now, the only reason you're going to need to know that is if someone can't access your game and they need to port forward on their router, which there are plenty of places you can go to Google that information. Although in general, I'll go ahead and put this in chat. You're going to usually go to an IP that looks similar to 192.168.1.1 or 10.0.0.1. If you're a Comcast user, is usually where you can access those like router configuration, router and modem configuration, so you can port forward. But again, with FoundryVTT, I haven't seen it be much of a problem. There's also instructions on how to do all of this right on their website. I'll go ahead and link port forwarding here for people that need to do that. Let's see, port forwarding. Here is their article. It is in the chat, which I do have chat replay on this recording, so you can see that. In case you're worried about not being able to actually see it, you can see it later. No big deal. No big deal. So, so moving forward, the user data path. This might be in a C drive. It's usually in a C drive by default, or wherever you installed it. I personally on it. Reason for that is because it's far less likely to, I try to keep as much stuff off of my base OS drive as possible. And with FoundryVTT information, you're not streaming troves of data at a time. This is not like online gaming or again, this is not Twitch streaming. So you don't have to worry about having a massive upload or like really crucial, like it doesn't need to be solid state drive data is what I'm getting to. So I personally put this on a drive that, and obviously put it in a place you can remember where you put it. If not, you can always come back and change it later. Now, if you come back and change this later, or if you set it and then you come back and change it later, if you had world data or some other worlds built and then you change this folder, you're gonna need to copy and paste or copy and move over where you had it before, because it's not gonna just automatically know to change it. Which of course there are also guides on. You can find guides about that on YouTube, because I don't believe they have one on their website. So the default world, you can select it. So a default world means when you start the software, you can have it automatically boot into a world of your choice. I obviously play a few things, or I have a few things to pick from. I don't know why it's not showing it on the. I have five things to select here. It's not showing it on the stream for some reason. But obviously, if you want to just load in, like if you only play one world when you play, then that's all you need to. You can have it default go straight to that world. Default language, that is I hope a pretty obvious one. If you play in Spanish, then you would change it to Spanish. If you were Portuguese, change it to Portuguese, etc. I use Portuguese because I had a fan reach out to me, or a subscriber or a possible subscriber reach out to me, and I had a hard time figuring out which language it was, because I asked my friend who speaks very fluent Spanish, and he was like, it looks Spanish, but it's definitely not Spanish. So anyway, organizing static files. This reduces network traffic by serving minified state JavaScript and CSS files. Enabling this setting is recommended for most users, but module this, again, to me, this hasn't made a big enough difference when I've had it enabled, so I just keep it disabled. SSL certificate, SSL private key, or an AWS configuration path. This is if, so SSL certificate and a private key, this is if you have your own proxy server set up. And if you want to have your own proxy server set up, they do have a guide on how to do that. There are multiple versions on how to do that. You can use Apache, you can use Nginx, and those are the two I'm looking at that have that supported. Yeah. Oh, and Caddy. You can also use Caddy as well if you want a proxy server. Essentially, if you're going to be running a whole bunch of public games, if you're going to be running a whole bunch of public games and you don't trust people with your IP, because that is what they're connecting to, by the way, if that hasn't been illustrated. When you give someone your invitation link, if they're not playing on your local network, you're giving them your raw IP address. So again, let me state that one more time. If you are playing with people that are not on your local network, like on your Wi-Fi or anything like that, they are, or on your local network, aka Wi-Fi, or directly connected into your router, you are giving them your raw IP. Raw IP. So we'll continue. With the AWS, this is if you're using an Amazon, proxy server. Yeah, basically through Amazon. This is where you put that path there. And there's also a guide for that. Oh, this one right here, S3, because that's Amazon's proxy service, or their file storage guide there. So, all right, that is the basic configuration part of the game. So, let's go ahead and, if we were new here, this would be blank. Pathfinder 2nd Edition would not be here. I'm not going to uninstall it because I have it on my other game worlds and it might break it, so I'm just going to show you where you would go to get it. So, if I would go to Install System, and then here in package name, I would simply type Pathfinder. Oh, if I could spell today. Pathfinder, and there is Pathfinder 1st Edition and 2nd Edition. If you are playing D&D, D&D 5e, there it is. If you're playing Call of Cthulhu, there's Call of Cthulhu. There are many games in here. I don't know half of these games in here, so have fun with that. So, like I said, we're here for Pathfinder. So Pathfinder's there. One thing I always do before I get started is I always check for an update. Oh, looks like there's an update because you can see it's downloading right now here at the bottom. That means there's an update. So what you want to get used to doing is, if you see this link here, you'll see that there's currently there's an update. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna click on that link. That's gonna take us to Opera, and you'll see here this is the FoundryVTT GitLab location. And what we're gonna do is, this might look like a whole bunch of gobbledygook to you if you don't know how to mess with any kind of files and stuff, which I don't recommend going around and messing with your files if you don't know what you're doing. The only place you need to know is changelog right here. So what this is going to do is, this is going to show, okay, we're at version, as we can see here in the main game. I'll go ahead and show that again real quick. In the main game, we're at version 2.18.0. So what that means is we're looking, oh, there's 2.18.0. Oh, 217. Oop, too far. Okay. So these are all the changes that were made. So as we can see, we got some basic support for defining and using combination weapons. Don't need to worry about that. Track tradition proficiencies on new PC without leveling. Essentially, there was an issue where the level of spellcasting tradition didn't always upgrade properly when you would level. Like other things would automatically go on, like when you would level a fighter to level 5, or let's say a fighter level 7, it would automatically give you the master proficiency with the other weapons, and then it would automatically upgrade the weapon. Or once you choose your weapon of choice, it would automatically give you your class features, like your enhanced, like battlefield surveyor, I think it's called. It would automatically give you those class features and put them on your character sheet. But if you were a spellcaster, some of the classes weren't updating properly. So update the effect target rule on a rule element to be prompt with a definable set of choices. This is for people that like to make very, very handcrafted custom effects when they use weapons or items. If you don't know what you're doing, this really doesn't affect you. Bug fix. Bulk calculation for 5 round increments. That's good. Fixed land speeds created by base speed rule element. That's good. And a whole bunch of stuff was added. Bestiary stuff. So the parentheses is the author or the person who made the change. And then what they did. So this is a bunch of fixing spelling. Added a journal entry. Added actors for a Pathfinder Society, PFS 304, and B15. So a bunch of core system. This is usually really important stuff. Some bulk from multiple firearm ammunition stacks have been changed. And again, we can just go through a whole bunch of this, but this is where you find the problems or what's been addressed. So again, just really great information. Also, since you're going to be hopping into the world of FoundryVTT, allow me to also show you what it's like to hop on your new support system best friend location here. And that's going to be the FoundryVTT server. Okay, so let me go ahead and add that screen in here. Let's see. I forgot to add that in earlier. Window capture is going to be Discord. Oh, look at that. It already added Discord. Boom! Okay. So with Discord, as you can see in here, there's on the left here, we're at Pathfinder 2nd Edition. Up here, you can see information about their rules, announcements, basic stuff, event announcents, and all that. These developers that work on Pathfinder 2nd Edition, especially like T-Kyle and SCW Lamb, usually these two will get back to you within an hour at the most. If not, other people will usually do their very, very best to try and help you. The FoundryVTT Discord, let me go ahead and let's see invite. There we go. I'll go ahead and put this in the chat here. There's the FoundryVTT Discord in case you need that as well. Okay. Either way, so we're not going to go over add-ons this time around. I know a lot of people are going to be very excited for the add-ons I use and all that fun stuff. We're not getting to that today. So we're going to go ahead and move over to, after you have your game system. The reason you need your game system first is because you can't create a world unless it has a game system. So we're going to go ahead and go to create a world now. We're going to call this world FoundryVTT with Liam! Exclamation point, because this is exciting. So we're going to call it FTT FVTT, FoundryVTT WL. And then game system is going to be Pathfinder 2nd Edition. I don't have an image. And then you don't have to set in the next session or anything. You can. But essentially it's just a very easy, well, again, you're not seeing it on there, but it's one of those easy, like it drops down. You can select the month, the day, and then you'll see it pop in there, and you click the clock and you don't see it again, but you just select the time. Very easy to use, very intuitive. And then we're just gonna say blah 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 for our little world description, and we just hit create world. Pretty simple. So our data path, last thing, we go there. Data path, data worlds FVTTWL, and I'll show you what I mean by that. So again, it is alphabetical. As far as I know, there's no way to change that, which I think is very unfortunate. But it's just a very basic file system display. So I'll go ahead and show you guys here. Okay, so I'll basically pull up that F drive for you to show you what that looks like. Okay, let me go ahead and add it here. Okay, so I'm just going to add this in the center of the screen for now. I guess I can blow it up a bit. Yeah, look at that. Cool. All right, so this is, as you can see at the top, this is the... oh, it's not... Uh-oh. I don't know why it's not showing the... There we go, now it's showing it. As you can see up here, we have the F drive that you saw, the Pathfinder 2E, FoundryVTT data. So, as you can see in here, here are all the worlds. Oh no, the worlds aren't there. So, like it said before, data worlds. A lot of people get confused with that. They'll come to their FoundryVTT data and they'll go, oh, worlds. Why is my world not in here? It's there. You go to data worlds, and there's all of them. There's FVTTWL. There's some of my other ones. Good to go. So I thought I need to make that very clear, because some people panic when they don't see their world, when they try to go make an update to it or something, when they learn some stuff. So wanted to make that make a point of going into that. So now we're at the point where you all have been waiting for. Liam, let's get into our world! We're going to launch our world. Let's do it. So, by default, when you start, there's only going to be one option. You can't see it here. It just says Game Master. You haven't set a password for the world, so there's no password. Again, you're the first person to enter the world, so you don't have to worry about threat of someone just breaking into your world, because it'd be impossible for them to, because they didn't create it. So, now let me go ahead and move this. Shrink that bad boy. There we go. So at the bottom here, we're not going to get into the numbers down here. You can see your players down here. We're not going to get into, like I said, we're not going to get into these numbers here. But on the right, you can see a pane. This is what I call the right pane. I don't believe it has a formal name, but I just call it a right pane, just so whenever I'm talking to my players, hey, do you see in the right pane, do you see that item that, or that icon that looks like an open book? Oh yeah, I see what you're talking about. That's your journal, right? So we're gonna go over the basics here, and then with that, after that, that's gonna conclude this little tutorial. So this first one, as you can see, is the chat log. Hello, there's a chat. Oh, as you can notice here, unlike Roll20, you can delete specific messages. So let's say I say, hi, salutations, greetings. Okay. Well, let's say I don't want to say hi. As a game master, I can come in here, click the little trash can logo. Boop, that one's gone. So let's say someone accidentally links a spell twice and it's got a whole bunch of text. You can just go boom, and just get rid of it. You don't have to worry about going, oh no, I have to just scroll up and down 1,000 times. You don't have to do that. And then if you want to just dump the whole thing there, or you want to save it first, you can save. Click the little floppy disk. You can save the entire chat log. Or you can just delete it. This button here dictates what kind of role you're doing, but we'll get to that in another video. So, this is the encounter tracker. This is if you have combat going on. Combat in FoundryVTT is scene-based, meaning if you have 2 players on one map, 2 players on another map, they can have completely separate encounters going at the same time. You do not need to be tracking 2 combats in one initiative order. It is freaking awesome. So, next we have the scenes, or what other Foundry or what other virtual tabletops call maps. We have scenes in FoundryVTT. Pretty simple. And then if, like I said, if you want to create a folder of scenes, that's what that looks like. So, or you just press the button, create a folder. Next, we have the actors. Actors are individual people. Like, you know, your players, your NPCs, loot, which we'll get to. Pretty awesome. Then we have custom items. So if you want to create an item or you modify an item and bring it in here, like let's say, I'll show you like the staff trick I do later to make it easier for casters who use staves to track how many charges they have left on that stave, especially if they're prepared. It's a little more difficult to do because the base item doesn't have a charge link to it because it's seen as an equipment item, not as ammunition or anything like that. Again, we'll get to those little tips and tricks later. Next is the journal. So you as a GM, you can have your lore here. You can have you can give your players their own set of their own individual notes that they can make. Different sets of notes. If they can have a bunch of different entries. They can link entries, so they can have like a book where they say, all right, well, this is the base book. This has chapter 1. Oh, I want the information of this town that I made an entry for. Matter of fact, I'll just show you that really quick because it's not too hard. So let's say PC1's journal. And so they go, okay, well, that's done, right? And then let's say PC1 Town 1. And they go, and then a bunch of stuff happened. And then, don't forgive me for spelling that wrong. Oh my gosh. A bunch of stuff happened. So, a bunch of things happened. Well, because Foundry is so nuts, this is just a taste of how strong it is. So, let's say they want to go, boom. When they save it, oh snap. So, as you can see, and what they do, they go, boom, pops up, right? Something happened. So what that could also mean is, let's say they get PC1 Town 2. Something else happened. Well, they come in here and they hit enter, or more importantly, they could, let's say they came in here, they went bullet point. They hit enter, and then they come down and said, "Oh snap!" So PC1 could have could organize his entire book. So once he's done writing in a certain section, he can have all of, he or she could have all of their information cataloged right here. So like, instead of having to like go in this, and then of course you have PC1, their own folder, and let's say they are red. Then they go boop, boop, boop. Well, then you can open that up and you can go, oh, well, let's do towns. And so any town information they have in here. But at base, they still have this, all my town stuff's in here, but they don't have to have all of this stuff in visual queue. They can just drag it, drop it, put it in here, save it, and boom, it pops up right here. That same entry right there. So again, once you start really getting into it, some very, very powerful tools.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Is this on the journals? Is everybody able to see the journal, or just that particular person? And can the game master see everything?
The game master can always see everything because you're the creator. So we'll get into roles and permissions next time, but I'll just show that just so you can see it. So PC1, this is just PC1 entry. Okay. So we don't have any extra users, which we'll get to there when we get to the settings. But I'll just make a user real quick so you can see it. Player 2. Okay. All right. So as you can see here, we're gonna go right-click, go to Configure Permissions. As you can see, all players, no one has access by default. By default. And so player 2 is using the default option, which is none. But if player 2 is the owner, then you make them the owner. If you only want them to be able to see it but not be able to delete it but modify it, that's observer. Limited just means they can see the name of it and bring it up. They can't see the contents. So, but they know it's there. But again, we'll get to that. We'll get to permissions and all that next time, because that's a really in-depth thing.
Thank you.
No problem. So next we have a table. This is pretty much for GMs only. This is where you can create random loot tables if you like random encounters. Again, I'm not a huge fan. Oh my, what is this track? Oh my goodness. Let me go ahead and modify that real quick. Okay, that one's a little bit much for me. Okay, sorry about that. Like, I'm not a huge fan of random tables, but again, I'm into pre-written content. So that makes sense. If you're doing pre-written content, I'm not trying to leave. There are the random chance in my pre-written content are the dice, and that's enough for me. So I know that doesn't apply to everybody. So if you like rollable tables, we will go over this in a later video. And that's done here. Next, we have the music section. This is some pretty cool stuff. Obviously, you add music in here. This is what I use when you hear it on the YouTube path, like the session videos. I always use the setting in here. I don't play it through an external, like right now you guys see at the top of your screen, this is being done through the website. I'm only doing that just because I'm playing an ensemble of, or just an assembly of music, just so you guys can have something to listen to while we're doing this. Typically I would already have it all picked out, and might make a video on that too when we get to the music section.
I like that idea. Yeah.
I think that'll be really good for people to know. At least if you're a fan of pre-written content, or even if you do everything off the cuff. I mean, I can't really help you as much, but with pre-written content, I can show you how I choose my music whenever I do content. I think that's really, really, really important. Second to last here is the Compendium section. Now the compendium section is broken down into actors, items, journal entries, macros, and role tables. So as you can see here, we have a whole bunch of information. This is where all the information is stored and you can grab it from and all that stuff. So like a bestiary 1, let's say we wanted to look at the Grim Reaper. Why not? There's the stats for the Grim Reaper. There he is. Now you can see this default picture. That's there so that you can put your own picture there. Now you'd have to import it if you want to customize it, which we'll get into in another session. But all this stuff has to be stored somewhere. But like I said, here's a rollable table so you can see what that looks like. And then there's all the 10th level permanent items you could get. Rolling a 198, so a 1D 198. And then you can see what that looks like. I'll go ahead and show you. So it goes, it takes a random selection. And whoop, look at that. There it goes. So that's what a rollable table looks like. Pretty cool. Your players don't see all this. You can make it to where if you want your players to see the roll, like this is a public roll. Like I said, if I wanted to make that, let's say I wanted to make that a private GM thing, I could make it private on the GM side while they're doing their thing. I said, and inside is an invisible greater rune. You know, while I'm rolling in the background so they can't see it. If you're into that. So this is how you do that. If you wanted it to, well, we'll get to rollable table. I'm not going to go in depth. But yeah, this is the compendium. The compendium stores all. Yeah, all, including iconics, which is pretty cool. So a lot of people don't look at this compendium. This is a really good compendium. If you're interested in teaching newer players, they see all the pictures of the classes and they want to see what those people would actually be like if they met them in the real world. They have them at level 1 and level 5 and sometimes even at level 3, which again, really, 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 really cool. And last but not least, we have the most important pane for the game master, the creator, the settings pane. This is the player's settings. Just don't touch this one. You're really gonna ever have to touch this. This one though is one you're gonna be in all the time. I say that specifically because this right here, this is where all the permissions are handled. What players can do, trusted players can do, assistant GMs and the GM. So again, we'll get to that later. I would say if we're gonna remember one right now, if you really want to remember one, display mouse cursor and display ruler measurement. When you have your mouse cursor on the screen, like you see on the left over here, I will show you. As a matter of fact, I'll go ahead and show you what I mean right now. So let me go ahead. I'm going to blank the screen because I do not want my IP to be shown. I hope you can understand. One moment. Well, I'll show you what I'm clicking. So on over here, you should see invite links. Again, this will show my IP, so I'm going to go ahead and take that off of the screen right now. But what it'll say is it'll say game invitation links. Share the below link invitation. There'll be a local network, which means they're connected to your Wi-Fi or your router, and then there'll also be an internet link. You just simply click on one of them, it'll automatically copy and put it into your board, and then this is a local address, so I don't care if you guys see it, even though you can't right now, but essentially it's my local address with the port 3000 attached to it, and then you'll see this is what your players will see right here. FoundryVTT with Liam. So we're gonna play player 2, and then we're gonna go ahead and join. Oh, look at that! United Paizo Workers, unionize. For those who are interested, some pretty interesting stuff. You should take a read on it, even if you're against unions. I'm not crazy about unions, but that's a story for another time. But based on the happenings that's been going on with Paizo, I do suggest you give it a read sometime and follow that link. Anyway, your players are going to be prompted to select a player avatar. And so just click yes for now. And as you can see on the bottom left, they now have a player 2. Now, I'm going to click on my FoundryVTT window and move my cursor around as the game master, and you'll see that. Okay, well, you're not going to see it right now because there's no scene. But typically, you'd see the game master's cursor. And we'll get to that when we go over scenes, so we won't worry about that for now. So, next we have under configure settings, this is a language preference, audio and voice and video, or audio and video. There is a way to implement webcam support and all that stuff into here. You do need to have a server set up, a proxy server set up, and some other things set up to do that, which I am not going to cover in this series. I don't personally use them. Not that I'm against it, but if you want to do that, I will go ahead and shoot you the link so that you can absolutely 100% do that on your own. Let's see here. Where's that at? Okay, here we go. And audio and video chat integration link is posted. There we go. So back to it. We have the chat bubbles, pan to token speaker. So when someone speaks in the game, if you have pan to token speaker on, when they say something in chat, like an old Japanese RPG game, the camera will slowly pan and zoom into their token, and you'll see their chat. And if their chat is longer than what can be rendered, it will slowly scroll like an old JRPG, which is pretty cute. But again, when people are trying to chat back and forth, it can get a little annoying. So left click to release objects. I always use this. We'll get to that later. Token drag vision, we turn that off, always. Let's say here are your system settings. These are Pathfinder specific settings. This is where we configure the world clock. Yes, there is an already pre-made 2nd edition clock, which we'll get to that in another video. Variant rules if you want to do free archetype, which you should be doing. Free archetype, always on. If you do automatic bonus progression, some people like that. Dual class variant rules, which is coming to support, which is very recent, which is awesome. Ancestry, Paragon, Stamina. I love Stamina. I'm not doing it with with Age of Ashes, because some of the players here are newer and they're not as versed or experienced in the 2nd edition system. I would play this I would use Stamina if it is your 2nd or later, or the players feel experienced enough. There's automation you can do. This is by far the single best setting that has ever been added for automation. This is called NPCs are lootable, rules-based vision, and then we have effects auto expire, which means yes. Instead of having to, let's say you have the bless spell on you and you're affecting someone else, instead of them having to go and remember a +1 bonus, there are ways to put that effect on them. If they have heroism on them and it's been more than 10 rounds, it'll automatically drop. Things like that. It's really nice. And NPCs are lootable. When NPCs die and hit 0 hit points, the players can literally go up to the character or up to the NPC and double click on the token. If they have stuff on them, they can literally draw it, take it and put it into their inventory, and it'll show in the chat that they spent an action to interact with an item and which item they interacted with to put in their bag. It is awesome. We'll get there when we get there. Identify magic skill modifier kind of stuff. Crit damage, you can make it double number of dice. I prefer double damage because it's way more scary, way more dramatic. But when the players get that crit, that stuff smacks, bruh. Module settings, when we have modules installed, this will be filled with the modules in all of their settings. This will be filled with all the modules in their settings, and we'll get there in another time as well. This is editing the world. If you want to change the name of the world, can't change the folder location, as you can see, because that would completely break the game. When the next session is and all that stuff, you can change that there. User management, this is where you come to modify the player name. So we called that person PC1 earlier. We can call them PC1. So, and then let's see what else we got. Controls reference. This is a wonderful tool if you're brand new. This goes to show you can move your tokens around with WASD. You can move them around with arrow keys. You can copy and paste stuff. There's wall layers control, some game master stuff. It's all right in here. Wonderful, wonderful stuff. So, documentation brings you to the website. And you can view a lot of the stuff I was talking about earlier, like, let's see. Yeah, like audio chat integration. There it is right there. You do have to accept the cookies each time you go to a different page, which is a little annoying, but could be worse. And it's all right here. So how audio integration works, like this, it takes quite a bit of setup. So, but that's there. Community wiki stuff, legal notices. Essentially, what this tells you here is that, in case you weren't aware, this is saying that they use trademarks and copyrights that are owned by Paizo. They cannot charge you to use this because that violates the community use policy for Pathfinder 2nd Edition. Troubleshooting if you need to. What this will do is if you can make sure that all of your items and actors are present. If you feel like some of them are missing, you can attempt to find them again. It's pretty great stuff. Invitation links, and last but not least, log out. And with that, that's going to go ahead and conclude this training session, because there's already plenty to go through. Oh, and at the very top, there's a guide, the changelog, and the Discord in case you need. Like I said, there's links to it in case the links in the chat didn't work for you. It's all right here in the game. Next time, we're going to go over scenes and what you can all do with scenes. And trust me, it's going to be a lot longer than this video was. But with that, we'll see you all in the next one. Take it easy.